Hey, things are really heating up around man sewing, so I had to come up with a super cool project for today. We're doing Snowflake Appliqué. That's right, walk yourselves right back to your kindergarten days. This is going to be one of the funnest projects ever, I guarantee it. And super simple. I want you to grab 2.5 yards of your favorite solid and about 2 yards of a great batik to match, and you can go low contrast, high contrast, any way you like. And you're also going to need about 1.25 yards of batting because you're going to build yourself up a sandwich. So come down here with me to the table. Here's those favorite fabrics I've got, and I've already got my sandwich ready. It's 45 inches square, and I've got my top, which is my solid. I've got my batting, and then I'm using the same as my back there, another bit of the solid. So this has been prepped out. I haven't pinned or thread basted it yet. I'm gonna wait until the design of the applique is finished. How are we gonna get the applique done, right? I'm serious, it's just like kindergarten. So I want you to take your batik fabric, the one that's got all the print and texture to it visually, right? And now for mine, we're gonna put fusible web on the back side, but some batiks don't really have a true backside. This one certainly did. It's really cool, and it actually has a silver imprint of the snowflake itself on it. So when I was getting ready to put the fusible web on, I made sure that I was working on the backside because I am going to laminate it all with my Heat and Bond feather light that I love so much. And then what happens is the paper is going to be adhered, and when I start to fold this up like we do for our regular snowflake style projects, we're going to fold it with the paper side out, and I'm going to pay attention to make sure I'm keeping it nice and square so that I have a great oh, that was going to be tough to say. I'm slowing it down right there. Symmetrical layout in the background, right? Coffee's kicking in. Now, so I'm going to do one fold square, a second fold square. Let's take the time to get that crease out there. Nice. Okay, and then I want to do one diagonal fold as well. I'm going to remind you the paper is on here for stability, and also if we were folding it with the glue already exposed, it could be sticking to itself, so we don't want that either. Now, what I have is, just like our piece of paper in grade school, right? I'm going to encourage you to use a really good heavy-duty pair of scissors for this, and very easy geometric cuts as well. I like to start up that spine or the center part here, and so what I mean by geometric cuts, I'm literally just going to go in and I'm going to do a straight line in, and a straight line. Of course, you could do curves if you wanted, but on your first one, why don't you try to do it straight? And then also remember, we are going to be stitching around these when we're all done. Take the time to get those little corners out if you need. Okay, let's do another one, maybe a little bit less for character. Well, heck, while we're on it, let's do a third. Now, the fun part about this is every snowflake is going to be different. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of your designs out there as well. And I'm going to keep cutting here for a second and get a bunch of this whittled down. Now, as you're cutting through your pieces, a couple of things we should point out. Again, this is a great project for you to work on with the young quilters in your life, but do notice I am being a little bit hazardous. You can't see my low fingers, and I'm making some pretty big and aggressive cuts. So if you're working with youngsters, make sure that this other hand is well out of the way with these cuts. And then one of the things that we were all laughing about while making our snowflake samples and stuff is that we all have a tendency to overdo it. So when I get to a point where I've got some of my cutting done already, I often have the tendency to want to start to open it up and see. I don't want you to open up too far because it gets hard to put back together. But as I start to look through there, what I'm personally visualizing in this is I want to make sure that I'm able to still see my batik up against the background fabric. So I don't want to cut away too much. Let's make a few more slices if we can. Here, make sure you get it back together as it was. This could be the end of my snowflake. And then after we get a few of those detail cuts in, I'm going to go back in and peel all of that paper off at one point. And I'll just talk you through some other little tricks while I'm doing this. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I was actually using some of the little scrap pieces of my Heat and Bond Featherlight to splice in here. This is a giant piece of applique, so if a little bit of the glue isn't in all of the spots, it's not going to affect the entire bond as we're getting ready to process it for the machine quilting. Okay, now I think I've got it just the way I like it. Let's open it up one last time and double check. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Now, what I'm going to do is lay it out. Oh, this is great. Okay. Oh, I love this center. It's just such a surprise every time. It's so fun. Okay. So then I'm looking, I love it, and now at this point I'm just going to roll this back here, find one of those places where I've actually had a splice, and grab at it and just start peeling off the paper, and I'll be right back to show you that finished up. Now, as I'm grabbing this last piece of paper off of the back of the applique piece, the batik, I do want to remind you that some fusibles can get a little tacky, so this isn't going to act like duct tape in the wind, but I don't want to let the layers stick together too much. As I'm getting ready to flip it over, you can see all that shininess, that's the glue on there, right? So we're just going to quickly try to flip it and drop it, and then I'm going to start to manipulate it into place, just kind of looking for the edge pieces first. Now, I will be ironing this down in a second, so also as I'm looking around, if I ended up with any scrap pieces while I was trimming, because I was working on top of my background area, make sure you picked up those scrap pieces too. We don't want to accidentally iron those down in a spot we don't want them. And I'm just going to work this for a second. And then we're going to start our pressing from the center out. So I'm making sure that my iron is getting nice and hot down here. And it's going to be a dry iron. And one of the other things that happens when you're pressing this large of an applique piece, either if it's when you're putting the fusible web on the backside, or if it's when we're getting ready to iron it down, your iron is going to have to recharge its temperature several times. Okay, you're not going to be able to press this effectively down with one iron. You're going to have to let it heat up over and over again, and that's whether it's corded or uncorded. A corded iron still has to heat up as well. Okay, I have a funny story while I'm working through this. My old studio, the electrical wasn't very safe, and so I always knew when the dryer and washer was finished or when my iron was heating up, because the lights would get dim in my studio. So I always knew when my iron was running a little bit cool or the laundry was finished, and I think I stalled just long enough. Now, you can see how nice and crisp this is, right? And like I said, I'm going to take this hot iron and I'm going to take it and I'm going to drop it, making sure I'm perfect, right in the center. And I'm giving it just a couple of seconds because it is the Heat and Bond Featherlight. But if you're using a different brand, just follow your manufacturer's instructions, right? I don't want to be giving you bad numbers if you're using a different style. And I'm just tacking it down as I go. It takes a couple of seconds. And then I'm going to let the iron heat back up on the base, come back to it, and keep working all the way out. Once it's pressed down, we're going to treat this as it's a regular quilt. You do remember have the batting already underneath. That helped us iron in place, right? And the backing, but we're going to still take our safety pins. I like to pin based into the background area so that I'm not pinning into the batik, but we're going to free motion machine quilt down along the edges. Join me here at the quilt. I want to show you what I'm talking about. Now, what I ended up doing is I started in the middle here, and I went ahead and I did free motion machine quilting as I went around the edges of all of my shapes, just working my way out of the center. But the reason I did the free motion machine quilting instead of feed dogs up, it's a lot to manipulate, and I don't want any of the glue parts to start to release while I'm kind of wadding it. So by going free motion, I can go a square like this instead of having to turn all four corners. That was my emotion. That was the way I tried it because I love free motion. I can also go back into the quilt and add in all kinds of extra detail. I could fill in all of these spaces with neutral color threads, new kinds of thread to add more impact to the quilt. And again, if you're comfortable with your feed dogs up and in standard motion and that's the way you like to do it, well then do it that way, because that's what we're all about here at Man Sewing, is the creative process and doing things maybe sometimes just a little bit different. Remember, we have a wonderful Facebook and Instagram community out there as well under Man Sewing, so I'd love to see the photos of you and your fantastic new Snowflake Appliqué quilts, and I've got to get back into the studio and make something new for you right here at Man Sewing. Thanks for being a Man Sewing fan. It's great to have you out there encouraging me to create fantastic new content. If you've missed any of the videos, we've got links for you here and here. And while you're checking those out, make sure you're subscribed. We don't want you to miss any of the action.